You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, excited to be here with you today. We are talking about humor. So when we're going through those tough times in our life where we're like, oh, how do I get out of this? Or you're feeling hopeless or you just want to give up, always remember to try to add some humor to it. I know for me, I've had to have a lot of humor over the years in going legally blind, but I'm telling you, if you can channel those embarrassing moments into ones where you can laugh at yourself, it just makes it so much easier. Now, we're going to be taking your calls also, so feel free to call in 800-333-0001. Also, if you want to hear this show again, please go to our website at livingfullout.com. You can check it out there at all of our episodes. And most of all, if you have questions on today's show or feel you might have an inspirational story that would be motivating to our audience, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Again, that's connect@livingfullout.com. Also, you want to stay tuned. In our next segment, we'll be joined by our inspirational guest, David Harrell, who's going to be talking about how he was born with no right hand, but yet went on to live his dream of becoming an actor. Honestly, the thing about living full out is having that tenacious spirit, knowing what you want, but realizing that nothing great happens in a snap overnight. Some of the best things in life are worth waiting for and trying and clawing your way to get. But when you get there, you can be just full of pride that you did everything that you could and that you achieved that goal, that dream. So it's important that as we consider humor, there's so many long days, right, that come with trying to attain that goal. Sometimes we fail and we have to pick ourselves back up again. And when that happens, it's all about finding the humor in the moment. It's being able to say to yourself, you know what, I'm never doing that again. Or, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. So just finding ways to keep yourself uplifted at all times. Now, I'm getting a word from our producer that we have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hi, thank you for calling. Hi, how can we help you?
Do you think it's important I find love while I'm young, or is it best to wait?
Ooh. Well, here's the thing about love. You can't choose when you fall in love. When you find yourselves head over heel for somebody, you can't just necessarily turn it off, right? But one thing that you have to consider is if you look at your own personal goals and dreams, you can't necessarily always do everything at one time, okay? So like sometimes people will start their lives building that family, building that marriage, and they'll do their career later. Or sometimes they start with the career and they date people, but they don't really look for that long-term relationship until later, okay? So where are you at? Where is your focus right now?
Where is my focus? So for a while, my main focus was kind of finding a partner. But I've kind of flipped the script now, and I'm just trying to work and kind of find myself first. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, when it comes to love, chemistry is one of those things where it's not on every corner. Now, I do believe that you can fall in love more than one time in your life. You can have even multiple soulmates. But, you know, in between, while you're in and out of these relationships, you want to focus on yourself. And so taking time right now to focus on work is great. And what is it that you enjoy doing? What is your work pursuits? I enjoy photography, and that's where I'm trying to go further.
Okay. And so when you're out there doing photography, isn't it possible that you might meet someone in that same interest?
That's exactly my goal.
Right? So I love that. Kind of embrace being patient.
be arms wide open, ready for love to come your way. But I wouldn't rush it. Follow your instincts always. I think you're on the right track. And I love that you asked the question, but I actually think you already knew the answer. Okay? Isn't that funny how that works out? You just wanted confirmation from me, but I'm giving you a thumbs up. You got this. Okay?
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for calling in.
You too.
I love that she asked that question. And did you hear her humor, her laughter at the end? That's what it's about. When we consider laughing at ourselves, I do that all the time. You have to, because life is not meant to be so serious. And even on very serious topics, I remember when my dad passed away, it was heavy, it was serious. But then we tried to make it really lighthearted. And, I used to say, well, at least my dad doesn't have to put up with me singing my favorite songs over and over again on the road trip. Or, if I think about, certain people that have come and gone out of my life, I will find something of humor where I will say, well, I guess they don't have to deal with that anymore. And so you want to find out where in the dilemma, the problem that you're facing right now, where can you find some humor? Maybe it's the ability to laugh at yourself. Maybe it's being able to find some sort of a quirkiness to what's going on. There's a lot of coaching clients that come to me and they're dealing with heavy issues. And sometimes it's hard to figure out, where is that silver lining? Where is that humor? And when you can't figure it out yourself, that's when you call the show, or that's when you reach out to someone who's a friend or a family member. And it's okay to come to them and say, listen, I'm just depressed and I need somebody to pull me out of this funk. This is what's going on, and tell me something funny about it. Tell me something that I can look forward to. Bringing that to another person is always a great thing to do. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that you need to have all the answers. Now we're getting a word for our producer. We have another caller on the line. We'll say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. How can we help you today?
I work full time, and I'm also a mom and a grandma, and I have a couple of daughters and a grandson living with us. And I'm just wondering how I can better balance my life so that I make time for me more of a priority. I feel like I do for everybody else, and if there's time left at the end, that's when I take care of me.
You know what? I love that. I love that you're doing that. And here's the thing you want to think about. A couple things, actually. Number one, what fires you up? Now, maybe you haven't thought about that in a while. What lights you up inside? What do you feel most passionate about?
I would say, well, first of all, my grandson. And he lives with us, so he definitely lights me up, a light in my life. And music, listening to music, I would say, are the two things.
Okay, now I'm glad that you gave me two options because we love that your grandson lights you up, but we got to get back to you, right? So you want to follow the chain, right? So music. Is it playing an instrument? Or is it singing, or what is it?
Singing. I love to listening to music and singing.
There you go. There you go. I want you this holiday season to go out and buy a karaoke machine. I want you to listen to music in the car and belt to the top of your lungs. And that's the time that you get to play whatever you want. Okay. And then the other thing I want you to also do is I want you to protect your time a bit. Okay. So think about your grandson, think about your kids, think about your friends and family. How do you want to be known? How do you want to be remembered? And that will also help. You might want to be remembered as, the grandmother that was always there, but what about the grandmother? What quirky characteristics do you have? What hobbies do you enjoy doing? What were some of the memories you had with them? That's what you want to focus on. And when you can match
memories,
developing your passion with considering what you want to be remembered for or known for, then you're going to protect that time for yourself because that's who you are. That's what's living full out.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. And I also believe in scheduling. If you have to be somewhere to pick someone up at a certain time, carve out just a little bit more time in the morning or a little bit more time at the end of the day for you and only you. But I want to thank you very much for calling in, and, we wish you all the best here.
Thank you, and I will take your advice. Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great day. So when we come back, we're going to be taking our next interview here with David Harrell. Honestly, his story is one that you don't want to miss. Born with no right hand, how did he go on to be so motivational, to inspire others, and fulfill his dream of acting? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Isn't this dinner party wonderful? Jeanette and Bill did so much planning, and the house looks great.
Well, it was almost canceled. Did you hear that Bill was really sick with the flu 2 weeks ago?
No, I had no idea. I've been so busy at work. But my coworker's toddler was in the hospital with flu, too. Is Bill okay?
It was pretty serious and aggravated his asthma. Bill got sick quickly with a high fever. Fortunately, Jeanette got him to the doctor right away. The doctor said it was flu and prescribed a medication that helped him get back on his feet.
I didn't know flu was so serious until I heard Bill say he felt like he'd been hit by a truck. He missed a big meeting at work.
Well, thank goodness Jeanette had gotten her flu shot. Because, she's expecting.
What? Oh, man.
I guess that was another thing you guys didn't know either.
A message from the Department of Health and Human Services.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
It's not working. I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. A professional motivational speaker, Nancy can help you overcome obstacles and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about humor and how we all should infuse humor into our lives. It just makes those bumps in the road easier. But more than anything, if you harness humor in a true way, an authentic way where you can really belt out a good laugh or smile when something happens to you and just really feel good about that, that's when you know you're living full out, because you're not letting life control you. You're taking control over life. And our inspirational guest today, David Harrell, boy, did he take humor to the next level. Although he wasn't born with a right hand, he didn't let that stop him. He played sports, and most of all, he went out after his dream of becoming an actor, which is already crazy competitive. And he went on to have great achievements. So I'd very much like to welcome David to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, David. Hi, I'm good. Hi. Oh man, I was watching videos of you last night. I couldn't stop. You are so entertaining. So I really encourage people to look up David online and watch some of his plays. You're fantastic, honestly.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
No, I mean that sincerely. And you know, what I love most about who you are at the core, having, chatted with you a couple of times now and seeing your work online, is that even though you were born without your right hand, you were on this quest to be, quote, quote, normal. You wanted to be normal. And I think we all want to feel normal. But what is normal? And it's interesting because you eventually did crack that code, and I'm going to tease our audience with that because you didn't figure that out until a little later in life. But I want to start with just how it was for you growing up. You're born without this right hand. How did your parents, how did they work with you, in the early years?
Well, I think I was very, very lucky. I like to always start with this, the story of my birth, because I was sort of born in this time before these breakthroughs in technology in terms of ultrasounds and the fathers being able to be in the delivery rooms. And so my father was, in the waiting room with the rest of the family, and he had brought a baseball glove to the hospital because I was going to be a baseball player, and my father loved baseball, still loves baseball. And he was the first one who was told, because my mother was in twilight sleep and was not fully conscious. So the doctor came and pulled my dad aside and really in front of the entire rest of the family who had gathered there, it told him that I was healthy, but I was born without my right hand. And my father had to collect himself and ultimately he found some resilience and turned to the rest of the family and said, well, I guess my son will just play baseball left-handed. And I think that kind of started off an attitude of my father and also my mother and this group of family that were there. There's also a story that they sort of gathered around the cradle around me and all sort of promised that they were never going to treat me different, and that they were going to let me become a full person and the person that I was supposed to be. So I think it started very young and very fortunate for me that, my father had this resilience, and my mother was trained as a special education teacher, and I think she was advocating for this idea of inclusion, this idea of immersion, this idea of allowing and finding the best, the full potential of individuals who had been marginalized or who, and certainly, a generation or two before her. So I think in her consciousness, there was a sense of, there is absolute potential beyond circumstance. And as I talk sometimes about the flip side of limitation, that sometimes we see these limitations, but there's always this opportunity that can be found on that flip side when we look at it a different way. So early on.
Well, and one of the things I wanted to ask you was, so your parents were supportive and they adjusted their mindset around, how growing up with you was going to be and just, making adjustments. So he's not going to play with his right hand. He'll play with his left hand. But how did the kids on the playground treat you? I know that you grew up with a hook. And how was that? How were you treated?
Yeah, my parents took me to a Shriners Hospital. I was fitted with a prosthetic hook that I wore predominantly every day until about 5th grade. And I think most kids were just frightened. I grew up in a small town, and so I didn't, there was no one else around like me. And very few, I think, even adults or individuals who were amputees and using prosthetics. So it was always something new and different and a little scary when someone first met me. So I certainly was stared at and pointed at. I was called Captain Hook. I was sort of made fun of, certainly at times, and picked on. But at the same time, it wasn't just that. There were other kids, there were individuals who got to know me as something beyond this boy with the hook. And so once that happened, and once I was able to adapt and play sports a little better, and kids got to know me, then they were great to stand up and say, you know what, there's no reason to be scared of David. He's just like us. He can play, whatever game we're playing. Mm-hmm. Or no, pick David to be on our team because he's really good at basketball or football or something. So if I was somewhere where no one knew me, I was always the last kid to get picked. And I think one of the goals I had very early on is if I was picked last within a group of kids, that if I ever was playing with those same kids again, I would never be picked last again. That I would be as good or better than they were. So,
yeah.
Something also.
What's funny, David, is I think there's so many of us who were picked last. I've been picked last as well. Now I want you to stay with us because we're going to have to go to a commercial break. Okay. And David will be coming back and sharing with us more about his story. It's like I said, it's inspiring as it goes along. And one of the things we're talking about today, everyone, is humor. And while David has been able to bring humor into his life, growing up without that right hand and all the different ways in which he wanted to be, quote, quote, normal, I want you to think about in your life, where can you bring humor into dealing with situations that are either hard or uncomfortable? It's never too late. Part of living full out is just embracing what is and making adjustments, being resilient, and most of all, knowing that you're worth it. There's no reason why you can't live full out, have an amazing life, and someone else should be able to. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about more humor with David Harrell. And so this is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari. Stay with us. I'll be coming right back after this break.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a trusted life coach, Nancy will help you overcome setbacks and embrace all life has to offer. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about humor and how in different times in our life we need to channel that humor to get over the hurdles, the obstacles, everything that may scare us or hold us back. Now, our inspirational guest today, David Harrell, is a perfect example of what it means to live full out. Although he was born with no right hand, that didn't hold him back from achieving his dreams of becoming an actor and playing sports like baseball. He did it anyway. And in life, we can all go after our dreams and goals despite our limitations. So I'd very much like to welcome David back to the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you for joining us. Of course. Now, here you were, born with no right hand. You're growing up with a hook. The kids on the playground are making fun of you. You're just trying to find your way. And in finding your way, you found that sports is really something that you wanted to excel at. Yes, to please your father in terms of baseball, but also you had something to prove to yourself. Can you share with us, kind of what that mental state was for you and why playing sports or dating a girlfriend, why those were things that would help make having no right hand feel normal?
Well, I think it was, those were examples of guys that I saw kind of older than me, the guys that I kind of wanted to be, were these athletes that I would see at high school football games or baseball games. And they would have their Letterman jackets and and they would have girlfriends. And I felt like if I could be like those guys, then I would be normal, and my hand didn't necessarily matter. So I think that's what really drove me to sports in some ways, was to, number one, prove to others that I was going to be able to do things as good or better than they could. And so I don't know if it was so much the motivation to prove to myself. I think I was pretty confident that I could play. I just wanted to prove to others that I could do it too.
Okay. And you know what? I can see that. I can see that because I think anybody who has a disability, I mean, obviously I'm legally blind. And so I have that same feeling. I want to feel like I can do anything, even though I can't see it. I want to do it anyway. So I'm right there with you, David, in terms of that tenacious spirit. Now, your coaches and some of the doctors, and not everybody was a fan of David along the way. How did you quiet the people that were barking at you, telling you that you weren't worthy, that you weren't good enough, that you were going to amount to nothing?
Well, I think it was a little bit of perseverance. I think my father, again, I remember many stories of his examples of the perseverance that he used and he faced as he grew up, as he went through traumatic experience serving the country in Vietnam. I mean, he was had a tough time and experiences through that, and experiences in starting his own business. Those anecdotes would come about as well as other members of my family. So I think it was again a bit of fortune that I had that sort of support and those ideas that if we keep working at it, if we keep adapting it, if you just keep pushing at it, that you're going to find a way to overcome whatever that obstacle is, and not have that obstacle necessarily define you, or that challenge or circumstance really define who you are. You're so much more than those things that come up against us. So I think that was a lesson I learned. And fortunately was able to sort of put into practice. And I would be remiss to say that that there weren't times where I listened to that negativity, that I believed that negativity. And I certainly questioned what I was doing. But I think it's ultimately coming back to those ideas of truth of what perseverance is, and that it is this idea of constantly continuing in the midst of whatever circumstance you might find yourself in.
Now, in our life, we all have quote, quote, moments and times when we have a pivotal moment, one that kind of changes the direction of our life. And for you, with acting, you had your hook, you were kind of casted for certain characters, some you may have been proud of, some not. And again, you had this quest, even as an actor. You wanted to be normal. You wanted to be able to get a variety of different gigs and acting roles. But then it finally came to you that, having your hand, having the hook, having that disability, it actually is what made you special, is what made you unique. Can you share with us about that enlightening moment?
Sure. I think it was a culmination. It wasn't necessarily. I guess what my belief is there was an epiphany that my hand is one of many, many differences that kind of make up me, and so there is uniqueness to it. It is different than I think what we see most of the time, but yet within that difference and uniqueness, there is humanity. And for me, that humanity was something that coexists in the world with everyone else. And I felt like that was a big moment for me. A friend of mine I went to have drinks with one time said she thought I always was together. She never realized I had any struggle all through high school or middle school. I was funny. I was athletic. I was all these things. She wished if she could have blonde hair that she would be pretty. And it sort of made me realize sometimes there are all these things that we may feel like we have to accomplish, we have to need to be normal. but that normal exists within all the uniqueness that makes us human. And if we recognize those differences in ourselves, then hopefully that can transcend and we can begin to see beyond the differences of others and get to know others and connect with others in a way that perhaps we wouldn't allow ourselves to do before that sort of recognition.
Well, and I'm just curious, my disability with not being able to see, no one can recognize it. I mean, unless I tell them, or unless they recognize that I'm scanning or I can't see something. But yours is physically right there. And I guess one of the questions I have for you, because our audience today, I mean, everybody has some sort of if not a physical disability, maybe they have a broken heart. Everybody's got something that they're dealing with. Maybe it's financial issues. But let's just say, for example, somebody in our community does have a physical disability. What advice do you have to them to just feel comfortable in their skin? For you, it was a lifelong quest, and I'm sure it is for them, but what words do you have to help them get there faster?
I think it's just that idea that looking at that physical difference or whatever it happens to be is just one of the many things that makes you. There's so much more to you than that difference or that you could say disability. And I think that it's important to embrace that disability, to sort of think of it more in a social and in a shared community kind of way. I think there's a lot of shared experience through the disability experience through the course of history in a way. So it's embracing that and being a part of that, but also that it is not the one defining attribute to yourself and to your being. There's so many more things you contribute. There's so many more things about you that are wonderful and beautiful, and some of them probably that are like all other human beings that aren't so great, and that there are going to be struggles outside of just that difference and that disability. But to embrace the uniqueness and what makes you really who you are, I think that's the advice.
Well, and I guess for everybody, it's a choice as to how they handle it and how much they want to disclose or be forthcoming to other people. You seem to have been pretty happy-go-lucky and just positive, but I'm sure there were also days that it wasn't so good. And how did you, on those really hard days, how did you channel humor? I mean, to really have to dig for it. But how does one access the ability to laugh at themselves?
I think it goes back to the idea of perseverance. I think it goes back to the idea of these moments in time. No matter what they are, their limitations or difficult circumstances, that they can't peel away the core of who we really are. And I think it's the humor comes in that reminding ourselves that we have a shared connection, a shared humanity with a very broad world. And so I think it's trying to send momentum forward versus having that momentum kind of sink into that darkness or to that negativity. I think it's to me, humor is about sending energy out and sort of almost like that, like you're kind of tossing a ball. You're pushing that energy out, and you're finding a way to connect more with that sense of being a human being.
I love that, and I get that. I can actually visualize even what you're saying. So thank you so much, David, for being on our show today and just, being such an advocate for people who have disabilities, but really all of us, giving us something to always remember to be perseverance, put yourself out there. But thank you so much for being on the show today.
Great. Well, thank you for having me, and it's been great talking to you and getting to know you and know your work. So have a great holiday season coming up.
Thank you, David. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. And, he touched on such a great point at the end, just channeling that humor. And so wherever it is that you're dealing with today, maybe it is the stress of the holidays, maybe it's a big event in your life that hasn't gone the way that you had hoped. It is never too late to smile. It is never too late to take control and put that positive humor energy out there. And then it'll come back and it'll lighten you up and give you the energy that you need to keep pressing forward. That's all about living full out. It's not getting it right every time. It's keep trying, keep putting yourself out there. So when we come back, we're going to be taking your calls. We want to hear from you and give you that empowerment that you need, so to laugh and laugh loud. So stay with us. We'll be coming right back after this break. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and we'll be back after this commercial break. Stay with us.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're gonna jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So we all know we've got a lot of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say, take care, people, for goodness sake.
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
When in life you're dealing with heavy moments or you're stressed out or something happens that embarrasses you, don't forget to look at humor, smile, laugh at yourself, be able to bring joy into life. Life is meant to be lived. It's not meant to be burdened or stressed or feeling as though you're limited in your opportunities. To live full out means that you grab humor with both hands, trust it, laugh out loud, smile, encourage another. That's what it means to live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a certified life coach, Nancy can help you to overcome challenges and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Okay, here we are, final segment of the show. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out show. And we've been talking about humor today, and just finding those moments in life where you can just be humble and laugh and enjoy. And especially now, we're around the holidays, right? It's really important that we take this time to not let life gobble us up and, have us all stressed and concerned, but rather just lighthearted. Think about something today that makes you smile. Now, you might think of more than one thing, but I encourage you all day today to almost like a screen of, like a movie screen in your mind. You're seeing flashes of images and moments in your life where, something funny has happened, where you've done something embarrassing, where you had kind of a moment of pride and that made you happy. We always have the ability to tap into those really beautiful moments, but it's important to train your mind to allow yourself to go there. If you never think of those funny moments, they're not going to be readily available. Have them ready as your go-tos. So when you're having a stressful day, think of something that makes you smile. But it takes practice. It takes thinking about it. And again, always having that movie running in your mind. Now, I'm getting a word for our producer that we have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out show.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for calling in. How can we help you?
Yes, I am dealing with a great deal of guilt since I moved away from my kids. As part of my divorce, I had to sell the home that we had grown up with them in. And so when my daughter graduated from high school in June, I moved back up north to be close to my parents, my brother and sister, and my kids went off to college. It's just been a struggle to be away from them and feel like the mother that abandoned her kids. My son is a sophomore in college. My daughter is a freshman, and I am now about 4 hours away from them. It's been very difficult dealing with that guilt.
Well, and I feel that, actually. I can feel that pain, and I can feel that kind of burden that you're carrying. The thing is a mother's love is so precious. Like, my mom is one of my best friends. I kid you not. And while I love hanging out with her and growing up with her in our various houses, we didn't have the same house all the time. What I really loved over time were her notes. She would send me a card on my birthday or on Valentine's Day, or she would give me care packages, or just talking to her every day on the phone. That meant more to me than the days we lived in a physical house and we just went through the daily routine. And so I just kind of encourage you to think about all the ways in which you can show your kids love every day. Could be a call, could be a card, could be a package. Have you tried those things?
Well, we do, yes. We do that. We do FaceTime, we do Snapchat, we text regularly. And I tell myself that it really does come down to quality versus quantity, so that the time we spend together is special and it's very bonding, and we do things just the three of us when we are together. But it does make it difficult with the holidays approaching, knowing that this isn't home to them where I am anymore, that where their dad is considered home. And it makes it hard to not be with them every day when they're home on Christmas break, because they'll be coming home for college next week. But
there's the saying, right? But there's the saying, home is where the heart is, right?
Yes.
And you have their heart. You are home to them. You always will be.
it's not about the physical home. It's about who's the champion for you. Who's the one when you get a good grade that you want to pick up that phone and call and tell them? Who's the one that continually tells them how proud you are of them, even on a day that nothing really big has happened? Right? That's you.
That's true. That's true.
That is you. And actually, I got to tell you, I think that kids who grow up from divorced families are actually survivors. They're resilient. I'm one of them. My parents divorced when I was 10. And the thing is for all the times that people grow up in the same house and they live in the same neighborhood and live in the same community, in this day and age, people move around. So I think it's actually in the long run going to serve them better to develop all these extra ways of feeling your love rather than just being a home-based love, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Yes, thank you.
And I think you're amazing. Do you think you're amazing?
Well, I'm here to be with my parents who aren't getting any younger, and my sister and her family. And I get to spend more time building back the relationships that I've missed since I left home 25 years ago. So,
well, and that's
good for me.
And that is important because your kids aren't going anywhere right away. But the parents, those other relationships, it's good to nurture them. So I want you to look at yourself in the mirror today at some point when you go in the bathroom, and I want you to tell yourself that you're proud of yourself and remind yourself that you're a great mother. Because you are going to be your best friend and your best advocate every step of the way. Okay?
Okay, I will. Thank you.
All right. You got it. Thank you for calling in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And I want to thank you. And I want to thank everybody who's listened to the show today. You know, it's all about smiling, bringing humor into your life, and just finding a way to connect with people in an enriching way, just like our guests. I want to thank our entire Living Full Out family that puts the show together. Roger, Rich, Kenny, Riley. Oh my gosh, we just love being here with you each week. And go to connect@livingfullout.com if you need resources on today's show, or if you have a story that you'd like to share with us. We'd love to put you on as a guest if your story would empower our community. And reach out to us on all of our social media so you can stay empowered and supported throughout the day. Thank you for listening. Here's to you living life full out.